Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Animal Room podcast. Just want to start this episode off with a quick introduction. Last episode, my good friend Matthew Farrell was on, and we spoke briefly about doing a possible theme song for the podcast, and he came through with an amazing song that I want to start off every episode with a quick 15-second intro and finish every episode off with playing the song out in its entirety. It's so great. I love it. I want to play it for you guys fully right now to start this episode off. And then, like I said, going forward, we'll have a little quick intro. Don't know if I'm going to do this intro going forward, but I hope you guys enjoy this episode of the podcast. From Mad TV, yeah. And that's kind of how I even
You're
got
legit.
into.
You even have your start of your
we got the
clip?
start going and everything.
Nice. Where'd you learn all this stuff?
I have a buddy, Antonio Carrillo. He shout out to Antonio.
Is it already going?
Yeah, we're going. We're live right
Oh,
now.
sweet.
That's where I mean, I could do a formal introduction, like, hey guys, this is another episode of the
I
Animal
would
Room,
appreciate that.
and
I'm
I'm
just
here
kidding.
with my good friends
Kidding.
Gabby and Andrew. What's it called? Yeah. So that's I'm not trying to be like interviewee or trying to.
No, it's good.
What episode are we on?
This is number 4. This will
Number
be
4.
episode number
Nice.
4. Number 3, I was gonna do like it's super long, and I broke it into 2 parts. So I didn't know if I was gonna release it back to back, but I think I might just do like one or two
One.
episodes. Yeah, a little part
Okay,
2.
gotcha.
But
Yeah, keep people excited.
exactly,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, can you hear yourself? It's
No.
There you go.
Okay. So yeah, tell me your story. How'd you start? How'd you learn all this?
So yeah, he does a lot of recording and videography and stuff, editing for
Yeah.
like gyms, like Rebel Spin and a few other like
Cool.
like Rock Form. They like it's a phone case and everything. So a lot of different stuff. He just has done social media work for them and whatnot. To where him and a buddy, a guy that works at the golf course or member of the golf course, they started a multimedia advertising company. So
That's hard to do too.
yeah, and they're both 20-something-year-old guys, so they're starting off young, and I mean they're just doing, like I said, local stuff with gyms and whatnot. So where Antonio helped me out really get started and everything, and still helps me editing and whatnot. To where he was here like almost like a Jamie for the Rogan podcast, like listening, and like if we were talking about something, he'd like look it up and then like find a video for us or something, which
That's cool.
it's kind of cool. I mean, like I said, just for starting off a very like amateur podcast, it's super, at least a little higher quality than
It's legit.
Yeah.
just recording on my phone or whatever.
And then where does it stream?
It's on YouTube and Apple Podcast and Spotify. So just
Did
most
you
places.
Did you see Rogan's new contract with Spotify?
I did, yeah, where it's like $100 million a year or
Yeah.
something, like for 4 years or something.
I was wondering. I don't know if you know the answer. Are you able to watch the live video, or is it just you're listening?
For like live, or
Yeah, like you know how like on YouTube you go on YouTube and you actually see them talking, but on Spotify is there even videos?
I think that's what they're starting to do now, because that's the whole thing why they're exclusively going to be putting the videos and the podcast on Spotify.
Gotcha. So it's essentially the same thing.
Yeah, and I don't really even use Spotify for music at all, to where the fact that I look at the numbers for the podcast and I see that I get more downloads, if not all my downloads are on Spotify over like the Apple Podcast app, which I use the Apple Podcasts for when I listen
I
to
have
stuff.
Spotify, but it's like they usually just show like for the music, like the video, like the music video.
The music video. Yeah. So that's where they're probably going to get more into doing videos and stuff, just like how YouTube is getting into TV. I mean, it's crazy to see how so many different forms of like, I mean, almost like the TV companies are behind the 8 ball, like trying to get into streaming and
exactly.
like digital, like on like on your phone and whatnot, to where YouTube and people that are streaming on Twitch and all those other sites, they almost already have a leg up on just that insider look of.
That's what we use.
You guys,
like Vimeo and some of those other certain like streaming apps. But the crazy thing is it's like, it's kind of disappointing because it's like, as a journalist, anyone can be a journalist. So it's like you don't feel as unique, but it's great also for those people who have like no background and they can go for it. They can do it because it's easy. It's accessible. And that's what's cool about how everything's all online.
And it's definitely like it can get flooded just because anybody can do it.
That's what I mean.
But I see it's almost a insider look, like almost like a Big Brother, like what's going on behind the scenes, almost to where it's like when you're in English class and you're trying to like analyze a book and your teacher is like, this is the reason why they use this color for the sky and all these descriptive words, to where you almost are looking too into it and you're overanalyzing it, to where they're just using the color blue because that's what actually the fucking color was, you know? To where
that's true.
It's almost that insider. Do you guys watch that show Big Brother at all?
I've never seen it.
You never seen it? It's like, you ever seen the show Survivor or any kind of like game show like that?
We watch no shows. Like, that's my goal, is to get a show.
To be like, to get your own show, like host a show, or like
that. No, but like to watch a show, like for us to have like an activity to do.
Yeah, we've never had a show. We usually just watch movies if we'd have time. But I don't even like watching movies with her because as soon as I put it on, dude, passed out,
knocks out.
And then
like,
she's asking me the next day, hey, what happened? I'm like, I'm not telling you. Like, stay up.
Yeah, that's where I've definitely, I mean, like you said, you go to bed by 8 and everything, to where Netflix has always just been, or even movies, just kind of a background, always good to just fall asleep to. And that's how, like, YouTube now, I'm kind of like, I go down a rabbit hole and end up falling asleep just to do that,
Put your headphones in, just pass out. Yep.
Yeah, I can't do the headphone thing because I do wireless ones, and they have buttons on the side to where then I try to lay on it, or like it pushes into your head. Or like it turns it off, whatever the case may be. It just is
the new ones, the
I have Beats, the new wireless Beats. So
they stay in your ears.
Yeah, they're over the ears, and they're made by Apple too. So they what's it called? So they work super well, like compatible with the iPhone, just like how the Apple AirPods open and close the box. It like opens on your phone. Like, are you want to use these headphones? The same thing.
Oh, that's
to where
nice.
it links up to almost every device I have, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, the wrap, you gotta have the wrap though, because I feel like you would lose those pretty easily. You know what I mean? Just walking around and oh shoot.
Yeah, Hadley, he got the Apple ones, the little, or the more inside the ear ones, the Apple Pros, because they had just the Apple AirPods. I've never used them.
Yeah, I've never either.
But people always say that they're actually pretty reliable and not like falling out of your head or anything. To where I'll give it a shot, but I don't know. I like the security of the at least over the ear, or the new design with the in ear, like a little bit more molded to your earlobe.
Yeah, that feels so long ago when they were coming out with like all those memes and videos where people are wearing their AirPods and they're like, "Sorry, I can't hear you."
Wait, what? I couldn't hear you. I was on the phone right
so
there.
Stupid.
It's crazy to even think about like Bluetooth in a whole, to where like even years ago when people like first had just like the little like finger looking thing on the side of their head that like could you even listen to music?
Like, I forgot about that.
Just solely for phone calls?
Yeah, because I mean, unless you plugged it into
phone.
your little CD.
No, remember the little earpiece, the little Bluetooth earpiece?
Like the one your dad wears?
Yeah, the one you just sit there. I think that's strictly phone calls. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know if you can listen to music.
Or just back in the day, I don't think when there was the first need for Bluetooth, we didn't have really iPhones that had music on your phone. Right. So you just had a flip phone that really was just calls and texts.
Was there Bluetooth back then?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like definitely like that's kind of where like people had the little like finger looking Bluetooth, almost like it would almost reach to the mouth like a headpiece.
Oh, you're talking about these ones, yeah.
Yeah, to where it's, I mean, just the fact that we have little ones that are just in the ear, it's crazy the progression of Bluetooth and
technology's crazy, dude. It's just getting crazier and crazier.
And I mean, are you still doing for like commercial wise or anything? Like, has that this whole Corona shut down? I mean, at least like as far as.
Yeah, thankfully, I mean, we were deemed essential. I mean, news itself is essential, but luckily the program that I'm with is a nonprofit. And so we educate adults with disabilities and other learning, I guess, disabilities as well, autism. And so thankfully they still run through Inland Regional Center. So we were able to still link up with them and do all of our program online. And then that was able to still fund like our news program and keep the show going. We actually did a show via our living room, and he was my cameraman, my teleprompter.
The whole sound crew and everything.
Yeah, I had like the little scroll on like for what is it?
We use like an iPad. Just for remote.
Yeah, just for like a little teleprompter.
Teleprompter.
I've done that for my buddy for music, just to help him like scroll through lyrics and everything. It's such a big hand. I mean,
it is.
Just to like, I don't have like a list or anything like of topics to talk about right now, but I feel like I definitely would be, if we did have something to talk about, then I would want to have at least a list of stuff in front of me. But
it helps a lot. Even just like talking points, like when I do interviews and stuff like this, and I have like specific questions that I like need to stay on topic because I can't keep them in there for 30 minutes. It has to be to the point. And it's like, that's all I do is just write little talking points, bullet points, and I make sure they go over like the certain mentions that I want for the script for like editing purposes. So you should check it out.
That's where, because I've definitely, as far as like going like for stand-up comedy, the very first time I ever did it, I didn't bring like what I had, like my material with me on stage with me. I don't know why I didn't want to like stand up there with like reading on my phone or like with papers or anything, to where halfway through I started blanking and forgetting. Like I had it memorized pretty well, but then like my friends were out there recording me and I was like, hey, like toss me my phone. Like I'm blanking right now. Luckily the time, we were only up there for like 5 minutes each. So like they're like, all right. Like,
how did that feel? Like, how were the nerves? Were you anxious, nervous up there? Like,
definitely anxious and nervous. I mean, it was my first time ever doing stand-up. It was
tough.
Where was it?
Over at Canyon Cowboy over there in Elsinore.
Yeah, but we didn't go see him.
No, I'm just saying we watched the stand-up night and
how cool.
And it's funny because I've said it a million times. I mean, only for the 3 episodes that I've done this, but it was like a full house there too, like, which it's always like either hit or miss. If they usually do, I think it was Wednesdays or Thursday nights. So it wasn't too busy of a night, and it was all just regulars that would always come and perform. But the one night I did it, there was at least a full house, and leading up to it, like going for a full year there, I'd never seen anybody do stand up there. So it was just kind of like, all right, I'll do it out of a whim and surprise everybody that, hey, we're not doing music now. I'm going to do fucking stand up. And lo and behold, there was 3 other people that right behind me did stand up that I was like, I've been here for a year now. I've never seen anybody do stand up. And now everybody's coming out the woodworks, and let alone I started off, and not to toot my own horn, but everybody they went up there with their phones and everything and were just reading it and didn't even like take a breather. And it was just a little, I was able to see how they at least did it, whether they didn't seem like they were professionals or anything, but to kind of, it's like when you play golf with somebody that's better, you end up learning from them by association.
That's every time for me.
Well, and that's how I've always learned. I mean, I never picked up a golf club in my life before I started working there at the golf course, to where I would always play with members at the club or people that had been playing golf their entire lives, to where I just learned by association by the people around me. I mean,
true. Yeah.
If I didn't sink or swim, so I learned how to swim out there, and to where kind of the same thing. Like my buddies have either, a few guys I'm friends with are all either musicians, or my buddy Antonio with the whole production wise. So I've been somewhat around going up on stage or performing and whatnot, to where I've been able to somewhat see from a distance, to where now the fact of actually starting doing stand up or podcasting in general, putting myself out there and just on stage or on video, the fact that we're even recording this is always just a little, I was just making sure this is recording. Like, fuck, this whole thing is not even recording. I've done that. I feel like 2 or 3 times now with different people, like had to record multiple podcasts and like luckily sat through a full another 45 minutes and recorded it, but I wouldn't want to hold you guys to doing that.
We're on no time, man. We're late, so.
Wait, so I want to hear more about your stand up.
Who's your
joke?
Who's your favorite stand up? Just real quick, just so I know.
I love Tom Segura, Joe Rogan, Burt Kreischer, that kind of like group of guys.
All like pretty much.
Andrew Santino, we were talking about him. Bobby Lee, all those guys are hilarious. Christina Pajitsky, Tom Segura's wife, Whitney Cummings, so many people that it's. I definitely, when I started getting into stand up, even like looking back, like how did I even like want to say go up on stage and do jokes? I always recall like on weekends or like if I'd be like sitting at home like doing nothing, like if I'd be watching Comedy Central, they always had Comedy Central Presents, and they wouldn't have like a list or anybody of like who was going to be going up. So it was just totally random nobodies, or at least big enough people that they were on stage and at least on TV, to where I just like would start watching those and not even know who is like. To where like people are like, oh, I was watching Dan Carlin and all these people back in the day, and like I don't really, until recently I can recall people's names now, like people that I watch on Netflix or go see live. Definitely that's at least who's inspiring me, or at least where I get my motivation from comedy wise. Right. To where just like if you were to be baseball, like you start off trying to emulating somebody's baseball swing, because you got to figure out how to swing a baseball. Obviously, you make it your own at some point, but you still have to figure out like
gives you that drive and goal and ambition, like you said. I feel like with the stand-up world, personally, she'll probably vouch for this. I am in my living room crying sometimes watching some podcasts. Certain guys, like. Off the top of my head, like Chris D'Elia. I can listen to Chris D'Elia like just.
Ew, no. I know.
Yeah, I know. He had those whatever. But I'm just saying, like somebody like that, I watch him like on a podcast or just like everyday interactions. Mm-hmm. Keeps me dying. But I'm not the biggest fan of like his actual stand-up material. Mm-hmm. Most of those guys in that scenario, Bobby Lee, same type of way. Like you just everyday interactions, you watch them and they have me dying, dude, where I'm crying. Talent. But yeah, I think it's a separation as far as your material and who you are, like off the bat, like, just naturally, if you're a funny guy, and obviously they're all funny, but some of them are just, man, they're gifted when it takes a special talent to have that.
And it's crazy to see how they definitely, like, it's just unscripted, just how they naturally are during podcasts.
Exactly.
And
there you go.
How they are able to carry that over, but in a performance, because obviously it's somewhat scripted when they're going up on stage. Right. If they're trying to work on material or have something that they're trying to work on, to where that's like we were saying earlier about the whole podcast is just the opening view on the whole building process and fly on the wall, to where it just gives them that more free ambition to, as an artist. And that's where to say that as a comedian I'm an artist is weird to think, but like to create a joke or even just, I mean,
it's free spirited.
It's very free spirited
no, it makes sense, no doubt.
And I'm not trying to like say like be quick witted and make jokes with people, especially like during the podcast, like to make it very jokey, but it's you're able to bring that like just your regular day conversations and whatnot, and find the humor out of it, and then from there, whether you just like a baseball practice, like obviously you're doing the work of what you're probably going to be saying on stage, but it's a little bit more relaxed. You know that you don't have the pressure of performing, and that this is a do or die, win or loss situation, to where people, if I go on stage and make a fool of myself, like whether I'm paying to be up there or like people are paying to see me, I don't want to say and underperform in that.
Well, it's a good point you brought up, because in every profession, everybody has those moments where they underperform, right? So in baseball, you strike out or you have a shitty game, or basketball, you might miss all 20 shots you take. Same with in the comedy world, where you might have a night where you absolutely go up there and you can't relate to this crowd.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Did you prepare for that? Like, did you think like the night before, the day morning of, like, what if nobody laughed?
Oh yeah, and that's where I knew going into that.
You're funny. I know you, but
I would be I would freeze, dude. I couldn't do it.
And that's where I banked on. I was lucky the fact that there was a crowded house that like, and I had a full table of friends that like they at least were gonna give me support regardless whether I was funny or not. To where.
Throwing tomatoes at you.
Exactly. It kind of like I didn't roast any of them, but like I definitely like whenever I would like try to like get like say crowd work or like ask the crowd something, you know, like I can at least like be comfortable that I'm talking to them, or because like there was definitely I think 4 other times I've done it, there was no like hardly anybody in there, and it was the same bar, and that's why it was the same month and everything, just nobody there, to where
that's nuts.
It's definitely like obviously people were there in the building, but they weren't paying attention to you or even giving 2 shits that you're on stage, to where to perform to nobody is definitely
that's tough. That's
very awkward. To like that's why if I were to be sitting here trying to like avidly like work on jokes and work on the camera right now, I feel I would be I'm not in that stage in say my career or baseball career that I can go out in the major leagues and fucking take a pitch right now. No, I know how to swing a bat, but I'm not I ain't ready for that right now. So being able to just do that practice and mundane, just conversating and shooting the shit, to where next thing you know you're comfortable to a point that you bring that over to the stage or bring it over to an interview, that it's just second nature for you to ask somebody a hard-hitting question, or just be able to not worry about hundreds of thousands of people staring at you while you're trying to hit a 90-mile-per-hour fastball, or it's just all those things can weigh on you, to where it definitely could have put a lot of pressure on me, and I still feel pressure when I was doing it, and hope to bars start opening up that I can start doing it again. I know they are finally start opening up again.
Well, let's go. Canyon Cowboy, though, back to that. They take that place very seriously. We actually got kicked out on comedy night.
What?
Well, we didn't, like you said, you're just kind of like minding your own business. You're having drinks, you're laughing with friends, and like we were sitting at a table. We weren't like loud. I mean, we weren't like quiet, but we weren't like yelling.
Just doing your own thing.
Literally were like, shut the fuck up. Like kicked us out.
Which I respect. I get it. Like, I was kind of observing because it was her group of friends, and it's like 7 girls. You know, her
having a good time, you know.
It's
like hard
fun,
it's hard to be quiet when you're there with all your friends, having some drinks, you know.
But at the same time, someone's performing, so I get it, you know.
But we honestly like didn't know, but
and that's where if you were going to a comedy club and you're paying for a ticket to go see somebody, that's one thing. If you're then being reckless and disrupting the show, I'm not going to a play and on my phone out there in the crowd, you know, or
exactly.
They were actually doing some crowd surfing on us, and we didn't even know.
They were just like talking about you guys, or
they
like
were having their own time, and the comedians just ripping on them.
We make it for good content. It was all meant to be.
Yeah,
and that's where I've definitely haven't really reached out so much onto like joking about or roasting people in the crowd or whatever.
I love that, dude. That's like probably one of my favorite parts of comedy. Like Andrew Scholes, like he's brilliant with that. But in a day like today where everything's so sensitive and
always
you gotta kind of like watch every word you say. It's like, no, in the comedy world, it's comedy. Like you gotta separate your fucking feelings and emotions and race and gender and all those things that you do. Like that's their job, to make you laugh. Whether they make fun, it's making fun of a situation. It's all in fun, right? But people take shit so personally, and that's why some comedians they're very, I don't know, hesitant on doing crowd work
or even what they have to say in their material, because you don't know how it's going to be taken from somebody.
Exactly.
And to your point, it's definitely if you're going to a comedy club or comedy show or whatnot, at least you know what you're in for. And
exactly.
Just like if you're going to a country bar to drink, you know, you shouldn't be upset or asking the bartender to be changing the music just because you don't like the music. The bar is called the Canyon, or Canyon Cowboy. I would assume that they would probably be somewhat of a cowboy country-ish theme to where they do advertise that they have like club night and they play like other kind of music. Yeah, but I would assume that if they still do have club night, most people there are probably going to be wearing flannels or it's
it's like the branding iron, the same difference.
The Stampede or whatever it is, you know, like
Stampede, not branding iron
is it a
hood?
Yeah, but that's like it's in the hood, but it's a country club.
Where's the branding iron at?
Oh, San Bernardino. It's bad. It's bad. I've been there twice. Just put it this way.
We both got jumped there.
What?
Not the same time, but ironically.
Got jumped the one time, and actually, so 3 times. Jumped one.
You got jumped 3 times?
No. Sorry, excuse me.
Jesus.
Been there 3 times. Jumped one, 2 freaking fired shots, gun pulled the other 2 times. I'm like, I'm out, man.
Good thing you went back
was
3
in the hood.
Just
third time's a charm. God, 2 strikes you're out.
I gave them a chance. I don't judge.
No, you want to give it a chance, you know. Don't want a first impression, bad one, but
they had a night where it was a college night, and everybody that would go migrate from all the local colleges and teammates would go like, hey, let's go out, blah blah blah, and I never was big on clubs. I don't dance, dude. You know me. 0 rhythm, zero any of that. But yeah, I end up going, and no, it's are they even open still? I doubt it, but yeah, it's in the middle of nowhere, and it's just bad times every time I went. So
it's always you gotta either like find like I feel like at our age, you know, like I mean not that we're super old, but like we've gotten past the point
you're a
of
baby.
like,
what are you talking about?
I know I'm still such a baby.
How old are you?
25.
Oh,
I say we're the same
I'm
age.
older than
Or
you.
no, you're
26.
26. Yeah, just barely.
I'm an old man over here.
He's a papa.
I'm getting gray right now. My hair, like my barber told me, and I've noticed a long time ago that I've had some stragglers. But my barber is like, dude, what's stressing you out, bro? Like, what's going on? Like, you got a lot of gray hairs up here. And funny. It's funny because my dad, was 40 years older than my mom, so I had an older dad growing up. Yeah. But when I was a kid, I found a gray hair like when I was 13, like
really?
12, 13 years old. I found a gray hair, and I was like, I just thought, like I was like learning about genetics in school and whatnot. I was like, it's just genetic, you know. My dad has gray hair. I should have gray hair. You know, it just makes sense. But I was like, didn't put 2 to 2 together. Like, he's an old man. That's why he has gray hair. To where, but now like I'm really starting to go gray. To where, I mean, not noticeable that like you can see it from a distance, but like in the sunlight, like I've had quite a few people comment now to where like, wow, you have a few gray hairs, and I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, thanks for telling me. I don't mind it. I honestly like, I don't know, like
silver fox.
It's mature.
Yeah, that salt pepper look, you know. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I always go for a little bit older ladies, you know. I mean, I'm a little dyslexic when it comes to the ladies I like. Hey. I should be going for girls that are 25, but I like girls that are 52. So
it's just a number, right?
Yeah.
Did your dad hunt? Where are all these?
I was gonna. Is that guy real?
All of these are real. Yeah. So all these heads are all real taxidermy. To where no, he did not hunt these.
He just liked.
Yeah. He actually I had just talked to my mom about this because people ask me all the time like how or where or why, and he had started acquiring them. I think from. He had a friend that like bought a taxidermy shop. So like he had a bunch of heads, and he was going to just start buying 1 or 2 heads from him just to support, and went over and then ended up just liking him so much and like bought almost everything that he had to where you saw down in the rest of the house, there's scattered heads and birds and whatnot.
Cool vibe, though.
Yeah.
It's definitely like kind of like cozy cabin-ish, like especially like I don't know, we don't live in a city by any means,
that's
but
what I was
like
gonna say, we live in Marietta, and it's like I feel like I'm like in Big Bear.
yeah, I if we had snow out here right now or anything, like
it's like very warm.
Yeah, that's where it's kind of like that cozy, just like we're in the bear's cave, the bear's den. Yeah. Like you said, you felt like you were about to pass out, and it's just how comfortable the couch is and everything. Yeah.
I'm like, pass out.
Well, I like will sit back and I put my feet up here and like almost I'll sleep in here. Not sleep, but like we'll fall asleep and take a nap. But like
it is. But the candle.
Yeah, it's a cool little hang up.
Yeah, cool vibe. I mean, like I said, my dad with being the architect kind of like set this place up. I could give you guys a little tour of the chicken coop and everything outside. And
you gave me that one last time. That was cool.
And
I gave me some eggs.
I have some eggs for you guys again too. I have a little 6-pack downstairs for you.
Nice.
We actually just got some more chicks too. So when they grow up, we'll have
you like grass feed them and all, right?
My mom overdoes it with the feeding on them. Not overdoes it, but she gives them a nice
spoiled.
She gives they're spoiled. All the animals here, my dog, cat, chickens, they're all spoiled. To where she will chop them up a salad and will mix them a salad like 2 to 3 times a day. We buys like cans of corn. Like we have a cupboard full of corn and bread and whatnot. My grandma works at a homeless shelter down in Elsinore through the church, and she always like through the week they don't end up using half the salads, or the bread end up going bad, to where then we always get just like 2 or 3 loaves of bread, or like a box of lettuce, to where then kind of lasts us half the week, to where suffices to them, to where you really see like a store-bought egg versus our egg. Like when you crack it and see the yolk, the color is
wasn't it it's like orange or something.
Yeah, it's like super dark and orange and rich, and that's where it's when they have the freedom to move around and just like, I don't know, if I were to be stuck in an apartment all day long,
I know, just
like this whole quarantine, if it's a lot of people are going crazy and everything, to where if animals the same way, they aren't meant to be cooped up in a cage, let alone if they were in that confined little box that a lot of like factory farms have them in, to where ours are really free range. Like they have the entire they'll go out to the front yard sometimes. If the gate's open, if we leave a door open, they will chicken run, and they will take advantage of it so fast. And like my dog will open up doors. Like she'll open up the side gate door. And my mom was watering plants today. And next thing you know, all the birds are just walking out into the courtyard out here. I'm like, what the hell? Well, she again, like they know where the food's at, so they'll come find her, and they'll. If we were recording this earlier, it's not an issue as far as like audio wise, but we would probably hear them as far as outside noise. Yeah. Oh yeah. They know when people are home, they want people to feed them, or at least like.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Have you guys always had like animals growing up and stuff, or where'd the chickens come from?
Yeah, my dad, he always had animals, always rescued either cats, pretty recently dogs. He never had any dogs growing up, but even in Orange County, we lived in Orange County, and he had a chicken coop over there too, right there in the orange circle. Like it was just a chicken coop, and like we just built another one at one of the rentals that my sister lives at over in Orange, a chicken coop as well, to where it's low key enough that like they're not super loud that they're gonna wake everybody up at 5 a.m., but they can make some noise to let you know that they're there. But so does the birds at your crows and whatnot.
Every morning.
We got crows above us.
You guys have a crow problem, or?
Oh, right above us. Yeah.
They live like by your guys'
right
neighborhood?
above us.
Huge
and we have
owls.
Big ones, yeah.
Like I'm sometimes afraid to like walk my dog. Like what are they gonna do to it?
You have a little dog?
Well, he's not that little, but no, I don't think we'd have to worry about that. But
enough to get snatched.
I don't know if they could pick him up, but they could like. What do they do? Are owls mean?
Owls are carnivores.
Yeah, they're hunting.
They eat mice, rabbits, snakes, whatever's out at night. To where
they're big ones too. So like people have had dogs in there, smaller dogs, and they've gone missing. So her dog's fine, but he's on the border.
Yeah.
Well, we thought about that one time because at the golf course there's a lot of coyotes and everything, to where we have had some members of the residents there at the golf course lose dogs. And there was one time, oddly enough, the dog's name was Max, but I found him on the golf course, and he was just like in an odd spot, and I'm like, wasn't eating or anything. Like, how would he like get here and like not be eaten, or whatever the case may be? And we just came to we guessed that probably like an owl might have snatched him and was trying to like fly away with him, and then like say dropped him and didn't go back for him.
Dog.
It was a little guy, a little Yorkie.
Yeah.
So, and like I was like, oh my God, like wasn't here yesterday. Like it happened overnight, and a coyote would have eaten it, or at least opened it up, or whatever the case may be.
Oh yeah, and they're always in packs too, so nothing's done.
Oh yeah, you hear those guys yipping all night long.
My buddy was having a family little barbecue at the park. True story. It's probably like 10 years ago. I think I told you. And Hawk came by and picked up a newborn baby sitting there. Picked it up for like probably 2 feet. It didn't go far, but it grabbed it, got it off the ground. Couldn't lift it, obviously too heavy. Dropped it, but it was crazy, dude. Like how quick they just came in and just out of nowhere, just boop. I couldn't even imagine just watching your fucking baby fly away with a hawk.
Yeah.
It was gross. It was the sickest feeling, but I mean, that's what animals do, you know.
It's crazy because, like you said, the hawks. We have a little hawk problem with the chickens because they have the full range of the yard. Oh yeah, we've over the years lost so many chickens to where we kind of can tell, and the chickens have good coverage at least from bushes and whatnot to hide in, and are pretty good at least as picking areas to hang out in for the day. But yeah, we've definitely lost numerous chickens over the years because we don't. It's not chickens like enclosed or anything.
Chickens
so.
are big, like.
Yeah, and that's where they never would fly off with them. They would always like try to get them right here and eat them here. So like if there had been a few times that like we had been like just sitting here watching TV and then hear like a screech and then the chicken like freaking out to where we'd run out and get the hawk away to where it was just a few plucked feathers to where it was lucky enough that was it. But yeah, it's crazy that they could just swoop them away and that they don't is beyond me that they just eat them right then and there, and like
I know
it's not like a kill thing. They're eating them alive to where like you watch something like that on Nat Geo, like the wildebeests and whatnot. Like it's crazy that like animals, like half these animals in here are. I mean,
just nature's weird itself.
Yeah.
Wait, those are chickens right there.
No, those are pheasants.
Oh.
Those are pheasants.
What's the one to the right?
The far right's a chicken, but it's like clay. That's like that's like
right?
that's probably like the only like fake animal in
there's
here.
a chicken in here. You guys have chicken.
No, it's funny because everybody's like, do you eat your chickens? No, I've never eaten the chickens, just the eggs. You know, I wouldn't eat my dog, but if my dog laid eggs, I might eat it. You know, I mean.
I feel like a lot of people have chickens just for that reason.
Is that a real gun?
Yeah, it's a real like musket. It's old. It doesn't really work. I mean, I've never shot it, but yeah, a lot of weird things. It's just a little, which is kind of like I said, our bonus room that we just see to throw everything.
Cool. Yeah, it's very quirky. I love it.
Yeah, it was gonna be called Max's Man Cave, but like I don't know, like I don't need to be like about me, but the animal room that's the name of the room, so the name of the show. That's
new because I wasn't there last time.
We had a little putting green.
Well, is it a putting green or is it freaking pool?
It's a billiard table, a little billiard table. Yeah, it doesn't really work too well, being that they're golf balls and they don't really like the inertia and everything. Yeah, to bounce them off into the cups. So it's just kind of just a fun to hit them around and just bang it around. But the like you saw my front lawn, I was rolling golf balls on it the other day because it's so short. You're able to do that.
Yeah.
My neighbor came over. He's a golfer. He was asking me about it too, and so it's cool to have. I mean, just
Speaking of, I still have your club. I forgot to bring it. My bad.
Oh no, that's good. If anything, I mean, I told you should keep those clubs.
I know.
Just so
he's always trying to give me stuff. I'm like, dude, I appreciate it.
You use those golf clubs more than I don't think I've ever really.
Well, mine are lengthed. How do you say that word?
To fit for you, or
no, mine aren't. Like I have random clubs in there, so one's this long and the other one's this long. So then I get used.
You
got
to compensate.
Yeah, but the ones you have, like they're all consistent. To where.
Do they go by height?
Oh well, the taller you are, obviously you need a longer club, right?
Yeah, but if you're like a tall guy, you just go buy tall golf clubs.
Most people,
generally you get them standard, or if you get a custom fitting, they will add like very minute, like they'll add an inch to the length in the shaft to where.
Mostly it's standard, right?
Yeah, mostly, and most people do get standard to where that's the kind of the whole difficulty of playing golf and figuring out golf because you're not like.
Yeah.
Baseball is a little different because like bats are all kind of standard, or at least like do they have like a maximum length they could be?
No,
or like
there's certain dudes like I always swung a 34-31, which is 34 inch 31 ounce, which is actually considered a big bat for someone my size. But I always felt like, thank you, sir. I always felt like my bat path.
Oh, I'm good right now. Okay. Thank you.
My bat swing, my bat would kind of drag through the zone a little bit longer, and it would give me more opportunity to kind of succeed with that. But there's people that have the average. I would say for professionals is probably around 33 inches, 30 ounces. But there's people that have been like 36, 37. Like they swing, it's a log, dude. And then you got people like Barry Bonds, who's considered one of the best hitters of all time. Steroids
with an asterisk, yeah.
With an asterisk, yeah. Whether or not everyone knows he took steroids, but before that, he was already one of the greatest in the game. But he used a 32-inch bat, and he would choke up about 2 or 3 inches. So
he was probably playing like a 28-inch or 29-inch, basically.
So he was basically so good at finding that sweet spot of the barrel, because the sweet spot of a barrel is only about that big. And he was so good with his hand-eye coordination where he can actually choke up and drive that ball. And he's a big, strong guy, so typically big, strong guys use heavier bats. But it just depends on guys' swings. Same with golf, certain guys like
heavier
longer, heavier clubs,
different weighting and different lengths.
Or those guys like, what's his name? Freaking Deschamps. What's his name?
DeChambeau. He has all the same length in all his golf clubs. His irons and wedges are all the same length, and then the bigger clubs are all similar, like very like, because standard golf clubs progressively, like from like inches, like or less than an inch, will get shorter and shorter to where I don't know the exact length of it, but yeah, it's.
And he's like I don't know, you know more about him than me, Max, but he's like pretty much like a scientist out there where he's doing.
Is he famous? Is he local? Like,
he's a pro guy.
I think he was in California. I think one of my buddies had played college golf or high school golf against him, to where. But yeah, he's very like he's a nerd to where he knows exactly like, and you gotta be for some bit any kind of sport to know exactly like this is the arc I gotta throw it on and how high and everything, to where it does at some point get broken down to your brain is putting numbers and patterns and how to figure out the angle, like I said, of flight, to where golf generally you have the time and you don't have a fastball coming at you to where you have to make that instantaneous split-second decisions, to where you have the time to break down and okay, I can look at the equation and look at all these variables and try to figure out what I can do, but it does still it still is a split second of making the action and taking the swing, to where that's where, like you said, the sweet spot of a barrel is so small to where when you're trying to hit a 90-mile-per-hour fastball and you have you could be standing somewhere minuscule different in the batter's box, to where that could affect the whole flight of the baseball, to where you don't have the time to really think about it. But it's that muscle memory, like you said, that Barry Bonds was just so good at it, to where it's second nature for him to just get up and swing and
it's such a
be comfortable.
Different type of sport, dude. Like with and I tell you all the time when we golf, like instinctives, like the sports that I don't have a second to think about, like you're talking about 90-mile-an-hour fastball. Those are the ones that come easy, but the ones where I have to, the golf balls it's still right. The ball ain't moving. It's a lot harder for me to hit a ball that's not moving as opposed to a ball that's coming at your face 90 miles an hour, and it's moving, it's breaking, and it trips me out because I don't know. It's the weirdest thing, to where you know exactly when you swing a golf club and you mess up a swing or you slice a ball or you whatever, it doesn't go the way you want. You know how to make the mechanical adjustments, right? So with me, it's like clueless. Like, you help me out more than anyone, of course. But with baseball, I never really had that. It was just see the ball, hit the ball, right? Just use your athleticism, use your instincts, and kind of just go from there. With golf, it's like, no, it's really, like you said, you got to break this thing down. Like, okay, I got to do this, and I got to put the ball here and here and there, and I got to go at this angle, and I got to go at this tempo, and certain percentage of your swing, I'm going to go at 75% swing.
And I mean, you're so new into it to where it's obviously something that you're still trying to grasp. I mean, any kind of, just like a job, if you're starting off in a new career field, it's something that I don't know how to stack boxes. It sounds simple enough, loading boxes into a FedEx truck, but Until you actually do it and start learning how to get the muscle memory, or oh shit, I should put the bigger boxes on the bottom, or look at the list and get my route down to where then I can make it easier on myself. I don't know how that works. I'm not a delivery man.
You sound very educated.
I'm just looking like if I were to be in that mindset to where it's and I've kind of been talking about that to my friends lately, and like how like team sports or like an actual job, or mainly team sports, gets you ready for whether it's a job or just communicating 100%. With somebody.
Totally.
It teaches you to say whether you're working with somebody like offense to try to get a project done or to complete a task, or at least the fact how the defense, or say I'm trying to make more money than this person or take their client, you at least know 100%. How to respond or react to somebody like that, to where you don't realize it, but those split-second decisions when you have in sports, those split-second decisions in life that could be the make or break of starting a new career, meeting somebody, and networking, that like shit, I should have just said hello to this person, and next thing you know, I could have been starting a business with them or an investment. I haven't been in that kind of situation, but just
no, but that's how it happens. Like today I was at the dog park and I met 2 people that are interested in buying. Like that's so random. I call hundreds of people a day. Nobody fucking answers. Everyone thinks I'm a fucking telemarketer from fucking Iraq. Like they hate me. But I meet 2 random people. Like how? You never know. Like that's how it goes to show you, like communicating, and like you said, like I truly think like team building really does contribute to like your just simple engagement with humans, because it's like you have been raised to learn how to talk if I feel this way, or how to work with different people, or that person fucking sucks, but I have to carry them because I'm a team. And it's like the same in the workforce too.
100%.
And it's
true, because sorry to cut you off, Mike, like it's a good point. And I tell all my young guys all the time, like, whether you like your teammate or not, right? I don't like all my coworkers. Yeah. You're never going to like all your coworkers, right? I got my friends. We got all our circles and all that. But learning how to still be successful with them and productive with them, that's a very challenging thing. And you don't have to love that person. You don't have to even give a crap. You don't got to see them. You got to do anything with them. But that doesn't mean that you don't, get the job done and find ways to be, successful together and find ways to work together. That's something that's very, very, I guess, what's the word I'm looking at? Like underappreciated when it comes to, learning those team moralities and team bonding moments. And that, I think that comes with sports, especially at the youth age. Like, but you develop those characteristics to help you with whatever it is. Like screw basketball, screw baseball, screw water polo, screw whatever you do. But the discipline, the accountability, the teamwork, all those things are going to help you in whatever you choose to do. Because not everyone's going to get to be a professional freaking ball player or football player, whatever you do. But surely those type of examples are huge, which people kind of don't appreciate in today's day, I guess.
Especially when you do see people get instant success when they do say, or they're like either being promoted in such a way that they're been built for that the entire lives, to where they don't really know the struggles or tribulations that come with being a normal person, to where obviously it's a whole different lifestyle being, say, a celebrity or somebody in notoriety, because it comes with, say, having to talk to everybody, signing autographs, whatever the case may be. It's just that common almost animal instinct of pack mentality that you don't see animals get taken. I mean, when they're domesticated, they're taken out of their natural environment, but it's not what they're normally meant to do. Just like the chickens in the backyard, they're not meant to be cooped up. They obviously will be cooped up at the end of the night because that's where they end up sleeping, but every animal isn't meant to kind of be, say, tied down to a lot of things that people are artificially doing, say, like celebrities, like that's the 1% of the population, to where if people are always idolizing on trying to become that,
so weird.
It's so weird to like think like, why are we trying to do something that is against our natural instinct, that is almost a detriment to our communication with our own species, to where now, even just with the current times right now, with the racial topics and whatnot going on, to where we don't even know how to cooperate and communicate with our own species, to a point of simple conversations, whether it's police brutality or just having somebody on TV, you know, because just based on the color of their skin, because you don't even want to open that line of communication.
Yeah, we were raised, like, literally every grandma and grandpa I know, at least mine did, you never talk about race, you never talk about politics, sex, religion.
You just don't talk about it.
But why? That's why we're all like this. That's why we can't get along, because nobody talks about it. And it's like the forbidden. And it's like, if you don't agree with me, I'm going to kill you. It's
well,
like,
that's the thing. That's the point is, if you don't agree with me, you're wrong, when that's not the case, right? You have your opinion, I have mine, he has his. Like, just because you're opinionated doesn't mean you're right. And being able to communicate about that stuff is huge. And it's sad today that when you disagree with someone, now it becomes
no one's open-minded,
you know, invasive, or now
it's
you're
offensive,
now
or you're attacking me, or whatever the case
you're divided,
may be.
and now you're at a point where I've seen, I'm going through right now, where shit, I got tons of black friends, white friends, Mexican, all of them. Okay, I don't give a crap what you are, and it's sad to see a lot of my black friends and my white friends going toe to toe, like on a social media platform. It's like, it's exhausting. It's like, you know, well, how about this? And then how about this? And how about this? And it's going back and forth, and nobody's really, you know, and it's the oldest slogan, but nobody's listening to, you know, understand. They're listening just to respond right away. They're already thinking about what they have in their mind, and they already have that process. I'm just going to answer with this. They're not listening to go,
that's
you know
what?
what?
You say to me when we're arguing.
Well, and if you don't have the baseball practice to be able to go out and work out hitting a ball, if you're just thrown out into those situations, if we're thrown into these big topic situations that are going on in the world right now, obviously people don't know how to handle them, because they've never had the conversations in their lives. Just like when people end up having to do taxes for the first time, or moving out and having to get a loan for whatever, they've never had to experience that in any form of a shape of the way. People end up, it's a downward spiral, to where it's hard to ever come back from, to where if you were an animal and born out in the wild and left on your own, you're probably going to struggle. You might survive, but in those formative years, you generally stay with the pack. You're with your parent, you know, it's still teaching you how to fly, how to get your feet under you, how to hunt, to where then obviously if the type of animal is one that is a solo animal, which human beings seem to be relatively solo. Like we all tend to like to be isolated, but at the same time form packs, have families, and have communities, to where if they don't have that open line of communication within their own pack, it's definitely confusing to how to relate to other packs when they say, I can't communicate within my own pack. Say, then the next time I run into a different kind of animal or a different pack, like my immediate reaction is to fight with them, because it's just my natural reaction to fight or flight, and rather than to actually have the experiences to understand, to where
it's so true.
But we have so many like resources to be able to research it. So it's like unfortunate that if you hear a different opinion or a different style of doing something, it's like, why don't obviously you can't research it that second, but like take a second, take it in. It's like, get on Google, and I aspire to be more like that.
Well, just as your journalistic nature, that's where it's great to see that people are avidly want to pursue something, whether it's professional sports or just engaging, whether it's like I find a topic that I talk about every episode, you know, or it's something that you at least progressively get better at, whether it's a sport, you know, like, hey, I'm trying to get better at it, to whether you end up being the best there ever was and become a celebrity. And the people and celebrities and notable people
that end up coming from humble beginnings or actually work their way up, rather than, like I said, the people that are set to be that big name person and do great things off the bat. They still understand how to communicate and how the working man and regular people,
where they came from, right?
Exactly, know how to interact. Like, and I'm not saying people need to get a 9-to-5 job or they have to play team sports to understand how to talk to somebody or have a conversation. Well, but it definitely helps you understand what somebody's going through, you know, 100%. Like whether somebody's like having a bad day or not, like you at least can carpet or what's the word I'm looking for? I don't even know.
I'm not good at big words.
So too many syllables and too many White Claws for me to.
My mom used to tell me, go to the dictionary and look that word up.
Well, I think, dude, like off your point, today is going away from all of those attributes. You know, we live in a world where you don't communicate face to face anymore. We don't interact. So the social skills are almost gone or absent. Most of these kids, most of these, the younger generation, they're communicating through, a text or an
Zoom
online
calls
chat
nowadays.
or
it's crazy.
Something.
School's all online.
Everything's all technical. So when they get into those actual social interactions, they don't know how to respond. Right? They don't have the social skills. Granted, maybe they're smarter than our generation. They probably are, but the people skills, that's all fading away. Right, the morals and like the respect factor, like everything's kind of diminishing. Where I'm not knocking the younger generations, but it's they grew up with different things than we did, and like I said, we were taught different ways. And
I mean, back to the animal nature, we're evolving. Animals evolve to where it's crazy to think that like where people don't believe in Darwinism or like evolution, to where the human species is evolving to where whether we're evolving from a pack mentality to now we are a solo individual animal, to where that's something that whether technology is helping us advance to that next stage, it's something that whether we need to embrace or just know that it's back to that primitive and instinctual animalistic nature that it's always going to, even with technology and all these things that are helping us progress and think we're doing better, sometimes it hurts us.
Pros and cons, right?
Yeah.
Just like you said, there's pros and cons to all of it, where, of course, technology has advanced to where, we do things that are miraculous, where we, life-saving situations.
Medical field,
and but then there's the downside, like I just talked about with everyday people skills and the way we're kind of evolving as human beings.
But I think like on the other side of that, I totally agree, but I also think that like the younger generation, because of social media, they're so much more vocal. And they're so much more aware.
Vocal
because
or vocal over keyboards?
Well, keyboard warriors, whatever you want to call it. But still, like, they're actually, like, coming to the table to say something. Not that they're right, not that they're doing their research, but, like, just think, like, when we were 12, if, like, this whole movement, Black Lives Matter, was going on, like, we would probably have little to no idea.
Of what's even going on.
Right now, it's like you're online and like you'll like go through the comments or whatever, and you'll see somebody and you're like, oh my God, they're like 12. Like how?
Yeah, but that's also like,
I'm just saying there's like more
old,
research,
13, it's almost like the trend to just,
Yeah.
What's going on? What's being talked about? They just kind of jump on there. Meanwhile, have you done any homework on it?
Yeah.
You know, and no, I agree with you, but everybody's on there. That's the thing. Everybody's
it gives everybody that soapbox to stand on and preach about whatever they want, to where it's obviously if you have something good to talk about or important topic, then great. And
it spreads the message.
It spreads the message. It's positive, you know, but when people are negative and have disrespectful ideas and to where it breaks down people, to where it's not beneficial, even like they might get joy out of it or find something that brings them joy out of it, but it doesn't to the whole, and it's not like, and they might not see it as offensive or harmful, but when you're publicly putting it out there, that's what kind of separates, like how we were talking earlier. Like when you're going to a comedy show, you know what you're signing up for. Somebody might say something that you might not like.
But but I can't.
But you can't control them. Obviously, people might say like next topic or stop talking about that.
That drives me nuts though, because like if you're gonna be one of those crowd hecklers, if you're a heckler, you better be prepared to get some very offensive things thrown in your way. If you know what I mean, if you have the balls to say something out loud and try and make a fool of somebody that's trying to do their job, and then they come back at you, and it happens all the time. You see it, Max, where comedians 9.9 out of 10 times they've embarrassed them, right? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden they're offended and they're upset. It's like, well, why'd you say something? Why would you speak out and try and take the spotlight when you paid money to come watch this person perform, and now you're out here, diminishing what he's doing and talking shit, and now you're offended because he said something to you? Like, get real. People are just they're it's so backwards to me. You're entertaining, right? Yeah. You're not going to go to a movie theater and some people do, and it's annoying as shit, but you're not going to sit there and be like, whoa, why'd you do that, Joe? Or whatever it is. Like, shut up and watch a movie. You fucking paid for a ticket. Like, it's entertainment.
I mean, from a professional athlete, how do you feel as far as like hecklers in sports? Because that's a different animal. I feel that's totally different.
When I was playing, if somebody said something, I used to just kind of get this little grin, internally, because maybe I was different, but I was very confident in what I did. I did it my whole life. So I believed. I tell people all the time, whether it's arrogance or not, you kind of have to have an arrogance about you if you're at that level in professional sports, right? So what I mean by that is, if I shoot a basketball, right, and I miss, I'm surprised I missed, right? I'm not surprised I made it. Same thing with baseball, right? If I got a hit, I wasn't celebrating or acting like, oh, great. Like, I was surprised when I made the mistakes. And that's not that I made, more great things happen than mistakes, but that was my mindset. You have to train your mind to be in that spot, right? So all athletes, they'll all tell you the same thing, right? All higher level athletes will tell you the exact thing. You have to be mentally strong. The mind is the most important thing. This is everything you got. But yeah, like, hecklers would say shit, and that's fuel to the fire. Thanks.
And that's why, like, some people, when they look at their comment sections and somebody's commenting on negatively on whatever the case may be, they really harp on it, and they don't, I keep relating it back to team sports, but like, if you don't have that, say, drive on, say, they're the defense right now. They're trying to stop me on whatever the case. I'm trying to post a selfie and look good. They're stopping me by saying, "Oh, you fucking
taking the attention away from you."
Yeah, and it's just part of the game. Obviously, it's, if you were to let the defense do their job and like succeed with what they're doing, you're gonna lose, and you're gonna end up. It's gonna be negative. You're gonna have a losing 100%. Record. And
somebody's commenting on your post, right? Let's say you're a stand-up comedian, you're well known and all this stuff, and somebody's constantly commenting on your post. That person is a fan.
Exactly.
Right? That is a hidden fan hiding behind the curtain, because you're on their mind so much that they got to go out of their way, because it's jealousy and people want to bring people down, and those are the people that are they're hurting inside for themselves. So like, fuck that. I want him to feel like I feel, and if you have that mind to understand that, like, you use it against them. Like, you almost kind of, and it's kind of almost sad in a way. You don't want them to feel like that. Like, it's like,
no, but it's almost it's to get your own personal win. Obviously, you're going to do whatever you can within the rules to win a baseball game, or to get somebody to say if you're asking a question, you want them, you're going to word it away to where you get somewhat of a response that you're generally looking for.
We basically tell them what to say.
Exactly. By the way you're asking the questions, to where they're doing that same thing, but they're trying to set you up to where so many people, when I hear that celebrities comment back or they reach back out to the negative people, the people instantly flip. They're like, "Oh, I was just kidding," or like, "I'm actually a huge fan." Like, then why did you say that negative shit to me in the first place? Or like, why are you heckling me in the stands? Or like, to where it's when they do get that confirmation and that the communication back to them, obviously they change. Like, it's after a game, you shake everybody on the other team's hand. Hey man, good game. To where you still have respect for the person. That's why you showed up to the game to play against them, to watch them as a fan. That's why you're tuning into the show to watch, to where you at least give some sort of like some sort of your being is into them. Like you're concerned, you're interested, whatever the case may be. The fact that you're looking at my Instagram story and still there, you know, it's fucking. Whether you actually like what I'm putting out or think it's funny, and I'm not trying to be funny with the podcast or any of my posts, you know, it's just putting out there to be me. And
you're right, dude.
And so many people harp on the negativities of that, to where the suicide rates nowadays with coronavirus is up, and I mean, just before that, people with with social media has really amplified that over the years, that it's put a focal point on the negativity, that people are such in a hole that they can't get out of the negativity, to where they look at their phone and they can't even open their phone because they have so many notifications of negativity on their life. I mean, to where you can't, it's hard to get out of it, to where so many, it's easier in a career. If you're having a shit time at a work, it's easier just to quit and to go find another job. But in life, you can't just quit. Or I mean, sports, you can quit, but then to say find a new sport or profession, it's hard to be able to do that later in a career, or just in your life when you've grown up developing one way and skills for one thing.
Right.
That's where when kids nowadays, and just people in general, when they've been growing up a certain way, when something happens or changes, like a global pandemic, we're not adapted enough to be able to handle, say, big changes like this, to where obviously, like if an environmental thing happens, like a tornado or an earthquake happens, nothing you really can do about that. But when it's people that are being an outside force and driving factor to constantly bring down their own species, is
and we're social beings too, so it's like, how do you tell?
To be accepted, right?
Well, even just getting out, it's like there for a while we couldn't even do anything. It was such a weird time.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Yep, you're right.
If a beehive got quarantined, I think all those fucking bees would
die.
They'd die or end up killing the queen bee and saying, "Fuck this, I'm out of here."
Maybe
you know,
that's what we need to do.
It's like this. Everything this year has been
that's true. I didn't think about that.
Spiraling on. Like, now what? Right? Here comes phase 2 of this bullshit lockdown. It's just insane right now. Nobody knows how to handle it. Nobody's lived through something like this, and honestly, it's sad. It's really sad. Like, at first you're like, we'll be all right. We'll get through it. This and that, and now it's at the point where here we are. 4 months later, and now. Guess what, guys? Put your fucking mask back on.
Today, you can't go to gyms or places without masks.
And here we are again. Oh, the numbers spiked. Yeah, how ironic, you know.
It's gonna be interesting to see tonight, like what we're gonna have to do.
I just feel like, I just personally feel like, and we talk about all the time. Like, I hate to talk politics and all that stuff, but there's so many things behind the scenes that people don't really do their homework on, and they want to believe everything that fucking, the news outlets show you, and this and that and this and that.
Yeah.
And like fear is a fucking a hell of a way to control people, and unfortunately, people, you no matter what happens, you can have a video showing a certain thing that happened, facts, right? There's going to be certain sides that will find ways to counter that, or argue that, or that's okay, but this, and that's the world we live in nowadays, where everything's so divisive. You have people on this side and this side, and it doesn't even matter what political party you represent. Like, I don't even know really much, like
politics,
Democrats, Republican, like I don't know really what separates the two of them. I'll be honest, and I could care less, but I'm just saying that the whole world is divided on what they believe in, and unfortunately now you're stupid if you believe that, and you're an asshole if you believe that. You're racist if you believe this. You're racist if you don't support BLM. You're racist if you know what I mean? Like, if you support cops, you're racist. Like, it's just a weird fucking time to where your opinion means
You can't even say
Nothing.
you like the president of the United
Exactly.
States, which is
Right?
like the most American thing.
Right? You don't even support your country.
You can't say it out in public.
Or you don't, or you like, you
It's so
support
weird,
cops.
yeah.
You support
I know.
cops means that I'm racist? No,
Yeah.
I know plenty of cops, man. I grew up, my fucking father was a cop.
I wanted to be a cop growing up. I
Yeah.
had multiple friends that I influenced them into because I wanted to be a police officer. And like, hey guys, let's all be cops. Let's all be cops. And then
Yeah.
next thing you know, they're cops
He
and
was
I'm not
gonna
a
do it
cop.
too.
And
Yeah.
I look back at it as like a fallback job, but like it's funny because with like we were saying, like you don't have to have a 9-to-5 job to understand what they're going through, but still somewhat of understanding what they're going through. It goes a long way to where there's countries in the world that I think England is one of them that has a military requirement. Korea I think has that where like
really?
it's like you have a 2-year military
before
requirement.
Police?
No, before every male citizens have to be you're required between the years of 18 to say I don't know because I don't live there, but they are like between 18 to 30 you have to serve 2 years in the military.
Wow.
To where I know professional golfers like Koreans, I think South Korea has something like that where like you're obligated to serve at least a year or 2 years in the military. To where that's where Prince Harry was in the military.
Oh yeah, that's true.
He I think he had immunity to not because he's a royal family, but he wanted to because it's his civil duty as a male citizen to be part of do his civil duty and be a part of the military. To where it gave him, I mean, and now him and is it Meghan where they've left say the royal family and all the privileges that they have, and I feel that eye-opening experience of seeing how other people and normal day-to-day people work and communicate and interact with everybody is such an eye-opener to where a lot of people's hatred towards police is just because they don't know what's going on. It's inexperienced to where
go for a ride along. Go see what they deal with day-to-day basis. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
and same thing goes to people that live in projects or ghetto areas to where
no
live in their fucking neighborhood for a night. You would fucking shit your pants with this, what you would hear. I mean, we were just talking about fucking coyotes and owls and being scared of that at night, let alone hearing drive-bys and fucking gunshots going off every night. To where, back to my point of the military and everything requirement, if the country had between the ages of 18 to 30, you had say a 1 to 2 year requirement of you had 5 options. You had military, police department, fire. Say first responders or medical field, and then public service. You had to work in some field at least for 2 years.
That's awesome.
You could go between fields if you wanted to. Say I start off as a police officer. I don't fucking like this. I'm going to be a firefighter now. Yeah. But you have to serve your community and your country in one way, shape, or form, at least for a 2 year period. You know, and it would be an eye opener for so many people on how government positions work. Because so many people are like, "Oh, fuck the government! They're trying to screw me over," or like you said, we don't know how the inner workings of politics works to even know. It scares me to vote because I don't know what's going on behind the scenes to even
you don't know
put my vote in it to where I don't know what's going on. Yeah. To where. For me to say police are bad or police are good or whatever race is good or bad, it's not fair for me to say because I've never either experienced it, and that's my white privilege of being born and whatever the case may be. But it's just that lack of understanding that. I mean, when I run for president, that'll probably be part of it. Is that you end up military like. You're asked to, and that's where it's that JFK quote, like, don't ask what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Yeah. And it's like to where we're not forcing you to serve in the military, but we want you to take an avid part of your community and
do
your fellow species let's help our herd, let's help our pack fucking find some food and survive. You know, whether you want to break off and start your own pack, that's great, which you will end up eventually starting your own pack, whether it be a family, a country, a fucking community, a baseball team, a news broadcasting center, you know? Mm-hmm. It starts by that initial communication and understanding on how things work to where you start a new job, you got to start from the ground up and how the fuck it actually works to...
No, those are good points, man. I agree. Unfortunately... I just don't see it ever coming to that with the world we live in because,
right now,
like I said, I don't even right now, even futuristic. I just you're always gonna. It's the history of the the human. It's the history of humans where we
everybody's fighting in wars. I mean, you go back hundreds of years. It was literal wars, and it was just because somebody stole food from this person. Fuck it, I'm bringing my whole tribe to go burn down their whole community, and then it starts whole wars. And I don't know. I mean, the Persian War and all, on how you were able to convince your whole entire country to go wage war on somebody just based on their beliefs, and they've never even met the community that they're going to go burn down and pillage the people that live there just based on what they were told from one person. To where back to the whole cell phones, it's communication now, it's amplified and magnitude to a point that we're not used to it, and it's the short period of time that technology has erupted has really put people in a place of unknowing, and to where it's chaotic times. It makes sense right now because it's not something that we're used to, so stuff that we're also not used to can be outcomes to where
they've amplified like so many levels of communication. Like just think of even like a hashtag that is like a way to communicate and get in touch with people by simply just putting a pound sign and a word. Like that's so crazy.
Back in the Revolutionary War, they had to communicate with a freaking lantern, 1 by C or 2 by whatever it was, to where imagine if I were to put a hashtag on there and have everybody I know see the post in seconds.
It's so scary.
Around the world, whether it's a positive or negative.
Well, what do you think about the major companies like Google and YouTube that are owned by some very rich people that are pretty much censoring out news, whether it's right or wrong? I'm not one to judge that.
Censoring content,
but you're censoring out stuff that they disagree with, right? So that's what's scary to me, is that now you see it all the time, all these videos that are coming out. And we live in a time where technology is just everywhere. So
and they're censored. You have to press it to view the post, or like on Facebook they have they correct they have it or no, they have it they fact check it, but who's fact checking it?
Well, that's what I mean. To where who's in charge of what's right and wrong? Who are you to say that that's false information?
It's like a public execution.
That goes away
modern
from
public execution of hey, this guy's is posting shit stuff. We're going to put a dunce hat on him or tar and feather him. He's going to be the town idiot. And that's probably how back in the day it's the same thing, where people would still bash people to where the point that they are the idiot of society, or banish them, or literally, like I said, public executing them.
But back in the day, you can still, whether you execute them publicly or not, you were still entitled to how you felt. You can be the town lunatic. And the conspiracy theorists, or whatever you want to call it, you can say all kinds of nonsense and throw shit out there. You were entitled to that. Now, we're in a time, which is sad to say, where if I believed something and I was skeptical of what I'm being told by whoever, the news or the government, whatever, friends, and I had an opinion about it, now it's getting deleted because they disagree with it. That's what's scary. We live in that world today where that's what I'm not good with. You know what I mean? That's what's kind of iffy and fishy with me, where now I don't know what to believe. Who do you trust? Where what's right, what's wrong? There's so many things that come out that on both ends, on both sides, we go, yeah, I get that perspective, and then you see another one, you're like, okay, dang, that makes sense too. And then this one gets deleted. It's like, well, why'd that one get deleted?
Yeah, and that's where the fact that it's still in the Constitution and our government's documents to say that we still have all these freedoms, but the bigger corporations still have they work outside of those freedoms and restrictions rules, to where it's why does anybody have any kind of special privileges or different requirements outside of me, which if it's not something that's a born, something that's defect at birth, that's holding somebody back. I had a friend talk to me about medical marijuana, on why would you say hold somebody back by not allowing it if it's medically benefiting them in the workplace? You know, if somebody can't exactly to where if they can't do their normal job, it's on the same token of if somebody has prosthetic legs coming back from war, to where if like, oh well, sorry, you can't use prosthetic legs at work. It's just a it's part of it's a law to where you can't do that. Like what the fuck? Like and Lieutenant Dan couldn't do like anything he wanted, you know, like to where it's like, why would you hinder somebody from at least being like rather than immediately labeling them as like the town idiot or by discrediting them.
If you're in a powerful position and you have a pharmaceutical system that is very wide ranged, and you have pills or medication for this and this and this and this and this and this and this, all fucking hundreds of areas, and then you have one thing, which I don't smoke pot. I used to smoke a lot of pot, you know that, but it can help with your anxiety, your inflammation, your fucking limitless of things where it's been proven to medically help people, and yet it's been banned. Finally, it's kind of been coming back recently, but back when they found out that this shit was curing cancer cell, or I mean, it was killing cancer cells, and like
there's nothing being done about it. So
again, that goes back to the financing part where, hey, we're gonna make a hell of a lot more money on 1,000 different drugs as opposed to a one size fits all approach. You know what I mean? So that's where they're at with you know their thought process, and people understand that, but you know some people don't, where they just believe it. It's like, get it, dude, it's money. If you want to find evil, follow the money. That's the way the world works, you know. Power and money is corruption. It's just the way it goes, you know. And
money also does bring happiness. Like, I mean,
I
can't not be fucking. I can't frown on a jet ski.
I found the rip.
That's a Daniel Tosh joke.
No, fuck yeah, dude. But to them, money's just a fucking another little. That's nothing. They got money for days. Me, you, and you. Like,
I wouldn't cry in my.
You give me money, I'm gonna feel good.
And that's where you almost get to those people that own the corporations and celebrities. They're at a point to where it's too far gone to where it's not even a but it goes back to where that's where they were almost like raised in. But you see people that come up through struggles, say like Kevin Hart or somebody that has grinded to get to that point. They have such a different outlook on it to where if Kevin Hart were to say be the president of Pepsi or whatever, like of Google, you know, his outlook on a lot of the decisions they'd be doing would probably be similar, but would have a different take to it, to where like
I agree.
A lot of these bigger corporations are already so far down that path. They can't without there being a big major reform. It's nothing that we can say even vote and make it a progressively thing. That's why this. I mean, not saying that the rioting and looting is any kind of a solution for anything going on, but it's that drastic revolution that countries go through, the French Revolution, that people end up changing how their country goes about things, to where this time that we're living in. I mean, it's crazy to think that racism is still even a thing. That like I thought that it was abolished back in the 60s. Obviously, legally wise was
Juneteenth, everything.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
To where it still is a prominent fact. I mean, that is the fact that it's still a common denominator in every day-to-day life. It takes a revolution such as one that we're living in, whether it is or not, that is going to change the way that people outlook on a lot of things, whether it be racism or a revolution in business that changes how businesses interact with their customers, or a political revolution. I feel like it's a big bang almost of an instant that needs to happen. That who knows if 2020, it seems like this is a fucking crazy year, that if it's going to happen, it seems like it's happening this year, but you never know. The world's been around for millions of years to think that this is all happening in such a short period of time. I mean, technology itself has happened in such a short period of time that this is just a blip on the radar of everything going on. That
Well, it's just scary to see like what the future holds. Like what's in place for everything that the country has stood for. And who knows? Like right now, we've been blessed to have all these opportunities and these freedoms, but right now, dude, we're at the pace where those rights are on the risk of kind of getting taken away from us. And that's what's kind of scary for me, where, like I said, you have almost 50-50.
You're running out of tape.
Yeah, it's if anything, I think that the camera might have stopped. Yeah, I think I don't know when it did stop, but yeah, it's fine. No, I don't mind it. I love it. If anything, I've always I don't try to keep a time frame to these podcasts.
Where are we even at?
You guys got here probably about at least just after 8 o'clock, right, or something. 8 to 8:30, something like that. So we've been recording for a good.
Wow, yeah. Oh.
Lost the audio. They can still hear us though. Hour 25 is what it says on there.
Wow.
So yeah, and that's where if we can cut it now. That way it's not too long.
But you got to finish Gabby with some karaoke.
Okay, what are we singing?
Oh God.
You, not me.
Earl's Gotta Die, Dixie Chicks. That's like the solid. Do you guys even know that song?
No,
I
would say if I heard it, then I would probably remember it.
Who's Earl? What did he do to her? Let's hear the story.
Actually, so it's a good story. It's an abusive boyfriend, and they kill him.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, domestic abuse. Yeah, kill him.
Well, Dixie Chicks is just the solid. That's a good Canyon Cowboy.
Yeah, and that's probably.
We need to go to the Canyon Cowboy.
Let's go to the Canyon Cowboy. I think that's where we found where we're gonna be going after this.
Is there stand-up tonight? Oh, they don't.
No, I don't know.
You have to wear a mask.
I have no idea. I asked them if they were doing the open mic night again, and they said not right now. So, but I'm gonna
be like breathing coronavirus on them.
It's funny because I've been here. Like I could imagine going forward, people bring their own mics and headphones wherever they go. Something like this. Like if I were to be doing podcasts a lot, maybe I'll just bring my headphones with me and microphone. What that?
Did you sanitize these, Max?
Yes, I did. I actually have. There are hand wipes on the table. I
am kidding.
There's a mask there if you want.
Honestly, that's great because it's like you don't know where people stand, and that's the weird times. Like that's where the world is going right now. Like even me, like scheduling interviews, I cannot assume anything.
Yeah.
So it's like I have to ask, like, oh, okay, well,
are you good with this? Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Like, are you gonna wear your mask? Like, because we can't have you fucking wear your mask on camera. Like, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, it's just a liability thing, and obviously, it's just like it's just gonna be the part of the new norm that we live in, and
it's
it's just a different time. We're adapting. It's our animal nature to keep evolving and figuring out what's going on in life.
I hate the mask, dude. I'm not gonna lie to you. I hate them.
Okay, well, I heard something. I don't know what it is, and I like can't say enough to like. I'm just gonna bring it up though. See if you heard it. Supposedly, this chick on Temecula Talk, citing my sources, said that supposedly, as far as like the masks are concerned, that like you don't have to wear one, even though it's like a state mandate because of like the ADA or whatever. Have you guys heard
that?
CDC,
but it's not illegal. Like
it's not a legal law.
It's like HIPAA. So like you cannot assume my health condition. That's what she was saying, and people were like for it. So I was like, is that true?
No, it is, but there's also privately owned businesses that
if your business is requiring,
no, I know.
You can't come in my business because this is what we require. Whether it's not a law or not, they decide whether you can shop.
Well, that's
in
how
I
am. Like fucking Costco. I'm like, they make you wear a mask. I don't want to wear a mask, but I want to fucking go to Costco. So you bet your ass I'm gonna put my motherfucking mask on, and we're going to Costco.
Just like the golf course. So you're like, obviously, if I want to play golf, I'm gonna put a polo shirt on.
Totally.
I'm not gonna be going. Like, it depends on the place. Some places allow it. Some golf courses allow you to go out in a t-shirt. Some restaurants will allow you to go. Yeah, my golf course, you untuck your shirt, they'll come out there and ask you to tuck it back in.
Like it's not meant to be
just like Costco.
What about if you wear shants, Max?
You can wear shants. No, you can't wear shants.
You have your golf hat on, babe.
I know you did look like a little golfer. I saw that when you first got here.
Irish pride.
A little beret.
I wore shants the first day. He's like, "What the fuck are you wearing, dude? Do you got any other pants?" I'm like, "No, sorry."
We got you out. There.
He made it work. But going back to the mask, dude.
So silly.
I saw a thing with OSHA, which OSHA's obviously like big on the workplaces and the safety of all that, and it was a specialist, like an expert, and they were describing that when you are breathing out through the mask, even if it's a N95, like if you did have the virus, like you're still breathing particles out, like where you're gonna the mask is useless.
Yeah, and at this point, I feel like everybody at least has either had it, has the antibodies, or is immune to it, to where it's just like, I mean, obviously, like the common cold and the flu, like there's going to be a vaccine for it or
Are you going to take a vaccine?
Pill for it. I would, yeah.
Really? You would?
I mean, I feel, like I said, I feel like I, if anything, probably have already had it, if not have the antibodies for it.
Yeah, I feel like I do too.
To where, like...
I feel like you do too. Everyone was so sick.
Everybody was sick during the winter, and I didn't feel like it was the flu, but I didn't feel like it was like it just was weird to where, again, like obviously our age range is not the prime concern.
Yeah, you're worried about
to where it's crazy to, just like we said, technology's so new. Look 100 years ago. In 1900, the age expectancy was 50 years old.
Yeah.
So like we'd be halfway there. We're on the downhill, guys. Like,
babe, like you're close.
Like you're an old man, dude. Like fuck, like are you ready for retirement? Like God, I mean my hair looks like I'm ready for retirement, but shit.
I don't know if I can make another 31 years.
See, that's the thing. It's like
I'm good with that. I don't want to be an old man. Like personally,
even if you were okay, like physically okay.
Well, you're okay, but how okay are you? Like your
the
fucking
quality of
body's
life
shutting down. You're fucking, especially someone like me. Like my knees, my bones are all fucked up.
That's the compiling on the negativity to where.
Yeah, but I don't want to be. I don't want to be in like a dude. You better pull the plug. If I'm fucking in a home and I'm like sitting in a wheelchair and I'm shitting my pants and you gotta change my diapers, you better pull that damn plug.
But
like, I don't want to.
When you get to that point, but I mean, you're a trainer to where if you were to allow yourself to get to that point, I mean, I don't think you will ever personally will get to that point to where you can't lift yourself up out of bed.
Dude, maybe
people it's when people don't put that effort into. Not they have to better themselves, but just to maintain. That's true. You know, and like whether they maintain their job so they don't get fired or just maintain their health so where they can lift themselves out of bed.
True.
Where that's where I see so many golfers that are like 80, older, 90 years old that like are still healthier than freaking 40, 50 years old just because they're avidly maintaining it.
See, I don't necessarily, for my own sake, I don't worry about physical. Like, like of course you're gonna, try and do your best to stay in shape and be active. I worry about the mental part where shit you can't control, like dementia, cancers, which is not mental, but what
is dementia less likely in males?
I have a history throughout my whole family, and so does she, of dementia. So it's like, fuck, dude, is that genetic? Like, I don't know. Who knows? Like, obviously, I'm not thinking negative, but. It's a possibility.
Like Nancy right now.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying it's sad to know that like there's people that are so healthy, they work their whole fucking life, they bust their ass, and then hey, it's 60 years old, 50 years old. Now I'm gonna retire and enjoy your life, and then now they get dementia, they lose their freaking mind. It's like you didn't even get to enjoy yourself. You just worked 60 years.
That's why my mom retired early. It's
she did it right.
You have to go back to work. Fuck it. At least you can enjoy.
Yeah, she did it right.
And that's where it's enjoying it. And that's where I didn't see what he was saying as negative, but it's knowing what the defense is doing. It's knowing what's gonna be happening, and you can either prepare for it and be adaptive. That's keep going back to the human nature. You're at least looking into it, whether it's you're looking into the negative and staying negative, or you find the answer to it, whether you work out and so you can be a lively old man, or you just are able to find the solution for it. So that's where the fact that we're talking about it at least is opening the avenue to where when it does present itself, we at least have talked about it to know what the fuck to expect on somewhat level. We've had our practice. We've gone to batting practice to where now when that ball comes at you or somebody fucking throws a random question at you, you're not just thrown off your ass. You at least can. You don't have to be quick-witted, but you at least are prepared enough to handle it at some level.
And that's life, dude. That's everybody goes through adversities. They're gonna happen all the time, right? Yeah. Whether it's sad to say, not to be all sobby, but like
you negative Nancy over
the loss of, like, think about it though. Seriously, like how many people have really been through tragedy? Like you can be the healthiest beautiful in the world, but somebody you love dearly, that means like the world, you know, and then it hits you. It's like, fuck, you know.
And until you go through it, you really don't understand it. To where like a loss, like somebody that has cancer. I had a buddy that we tried to record a podcast and we just couldn't get to work. He's coming back this week to do it, and but you don't understand what they've gone through. To where obviously, like I've never had anybody close in my family be cancer stricken or had any ailment like that. To where I respect it to know what struggles they're going through, but like for me to like avidly like go like on a cancer walk or something, it's not something that it doesn't affect me personally to where that it's affected my life. To where this whole quarantine has at least like given us an insight on how a lot of people live their day-to-day lives, because we have nothing else to do but look in on on what everybody's doing, because we can't go out and do what we're doing, so we might as well focus on what other people are doing or what they can do. And at least you are able to I keep trying to say that word again. Compartmentalize?
Comprehend? I don't know. I don't even know what you're trying to say.
I don't know. Let's Google it.
Compartmentalize. Does that sound right?
There
you go. I slowed it down.
I don't even know what that means.
It's like when you try to like putting everything together. To where
I can't spell it.
I can't even. No,
But I know what you're talking about.
Anybody out there listening, comment in and email us.
Compartmentalize.
Compartmentalize. Or
yeah, you said it.
Compartmentalized?
Something like that.
Fuck. We're not even smoking weed and I can't even talk right now. One too many White Claws.
You should see me on a live show. It's awesome.
See, you should see me on stage.
She's like,
it's awesome. It's terrible.
What's it?
Yeah, no, you're fine. That's forgiving.
What's that movie I always tease her? She was
Carrey.
Yeah. No. What's it? Fuck.
Evan Almighty.
Evan Almighty. So she's like in my, dude, for fucking 2 months. Her studio was in my living room. We had mics like this, cameras, and she'd be doing her little interview, and I'd be like, blah 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 blah, blah like the Evan Almighty guy. So she'd be like, shut the fuck up.
I'm surprised you didn't like go like I've seen a lot of people like for Zoom calls like they'll like wear like a costume or something behind, like say somebody's like teaching a class for Zoom and then like their husband will come by like wearing like a Batman costume
naked
or like something silly
that one's so funny.
The naked or like
the husband walks by like naked or whatever.
And then he slips and falls.
No, like he did it on purpose or like
he
was accidentally just going.
She was
like oh my god. Gabby, a teacher or just like a Zoom call?
It was like a journalist.
Like yeah, she was doing some interview deal.
Yeah, I would see Gabby every day, like, and I fucking come out and she's wearing like a nice like top, like professional hair done, and then she'd have
the
like
waist
fucking
up, she's professional.
Sweats on, slippers. I'm like, I guess that's the way to go.
I mean, if a lot of people are gonna be working from home, I mean, the quarantine uniform. I mean, it's great to just wear like a hoodie and like whatever you like, cozy clothes, comfy pants at home. I mean.
Those were good days.
Well,
now we're all dressed up, ready to go out. And
but we can go out. It's freedom.
The fact that we can go out is great. And if anything, let's go out. Let's go. Let's wrap this up. It's already we're coming up on an hour and a half. We've probably lost everybody who's listening to us ramble on right now. Okay. But
we're having a good time.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you guys came over.
Yeah, Max.
Thank you guys for coming.
It's always a pleasure to be around.
It's been a long time since I've been seeing you guys together. I've saw you guys, you on the golf course, and
we haven't
been a while
together since
you were Magic Max.
Magic Max at the
Magic
Cove.
Max came out dancing on all the cougars.
I still have that
taking
video.
your shirt off.
I was talking about that the other day, and I attribute that to you. Thank you very much. Because
I was inspirational.
Without working out with you and training with you, I wouldn't have had the confidence to. I wouldn't have looked as good as I did to like take my shirt off. And I had the tattoo was fresh. It looked good. You know, I had to show it off.
That's all you, baby.
Tina was there. I could not. I had to show off.
Shout out to Tina.
Tina, you know.
Hey, show it off.
Always on my mind.
That hard work.
She's going to be the next guest on the podcast, actually.
Tina?
Yeah. She should have been here on the fourth mic.
Turn up Tina, dude. Get her on.
Magic Max and Turn Up Tina.
I need to find Magic Max.
Yeah, Tina's a good
Oh my god, I found him.
Oh my god. We won't put that. We're not going to play this. Oh. Send me the video and we'll play it on there. Yeah, we'll edit it in there.
Episode title Magic Max.
Oh my god. Oh god.
There it is.
It's so
The
funny.
hat down, shirt off. Look at that tan line.
Yeah, Brad and Pulte. Yeah, that was some.
That was a fun night. Maybe we should go there tonight. Let's go hit up the Cove.
I'm down.
Shout out the Cove. Yeah. Hit up Tina. We'll hit up the Cove.
Tina lives so far now. No,
where she
not
live?
that far.
Dude, she's on
far enough.
Oceanside.
Oh, she's not coming up tonight for that.
Yeah.
Maybe we can go to Oceanside.
Right?
I know. We should though.
That would
be
be
a great place.
I'd love it.
She's got a badass spot.
But anyways, let's wrap that up. Thank you guys for coming on.
Thanks
that
for
was a fun
having us.
episode.
Appreciate it, brother.
And next time.
Peace.